All right, welcome back to the Super Centex Podcast with Chad and Mike and Brice. Gentlemen, how's your Tuesday going?
I really like that Michael is framed this week.
Okay. You like
Yes,
that?
he is framed. He's like a work
It's
of
like we're
art.
talking to a picture of Michael.
There we go. Let's go.
The Mike Elisa. Oh God.
Good to see you guys too.
We're off the rails already. So guys, it feels like just yesterday that we were writing all these season preview stories and capsules and stuff. We haven't even reached the end of September. And this week we've got district play actually starting in a number of area districts, some of those bigger ones.
And it's week 5, so like we're kind of halfway through the regular season.
Yeah, true. Approaching that way.
Even though it's an 11-week regular season, so
sure.
Anyway.
Right.
Getting close. So of those districts starting this week, which are 12-6A, 8-5A D1, you know these districts. I'm given them to you in advance. 7-2A, 10-2A. What league feels the most wide open to you?
Michael, I'll let you take this one first.
Okay. Yeah, I think most wide open at the top would probably be 7-2A Division One, because I think you could really make an argument for
And tell us who's in that. Tell us
yeah.
who's in that district.
Yeah, so I mean, those teams at the top, I think it would come down to Axtell, Bosqueville, Valley Mills. Obviously, we just had that ruling on Rio Vista that came out Monday. They are no longer eligible for the playoffs, so that opens up another spot for Dawson, Italy, or Itasca, even for one of those teams to maybe sneak in, and maybe someone. I mean, like of those teams, who could get in? I don't know, but I think those top three between Axtell, Bosqueville, and Valley Mills, they're all rolling right now, and I don't know who could. I mean, Axtell, I could make an argument for Valley Mill. I mean, there's a legit argument for all three. And so that's the one I would pick.
It's pretty interesting. Yeah, it's pretty interesting because Rio Vista is off this week.
Yes, they are.
Yes. So the 6 teams playing are the 6 teams that are eligible for the playoffs. And you get kind of a snapshot of what it looks like because, I think that Valley Mills Italy game right off the bat is probably going to determine a playoff spot maybe.
It certainly could.
I think, it does put a lot of emphasis on those games right off the bat because, you got 6 teams competing for 4 spots and, 1 or 2 wins might get you in there,
Well, and from our perspective, it really gives us a silver platter game of the week type of game with Axtell and Bosqueville, right?
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. That'll be a fun one for sure. Valley Mills playing well. I agree with you, Michael. Chad, would you also say that's the one, that district?
Because Bremond is so dominant so far and looking so dominant, I would say that district is less wide open, although another game that I'll be fighting for to cover would be Bremond-Chilton.
Yeah.
That's going to be a real interesting one. I wish that I would. I wish that I'd gone all in and thrown some elbows to get Goldthwaite Chilton this week.
Well,
but I tried to be a team player. I'll go on out to Bremond.
I think just to like piggyback off that, the reason why I didn't pick that one is to your point, because Bremond just feels like it's Bremond's to lose in a sense. But to your point, Chilton and Goldthwaite could mix it up. They could certainly be in the mix. I think the real storyline to that district is who the heck's going to come in fourth. Could it be Mart? Like we haven't talked about Mart a lot this year.
And I mean, I think Bremond will win Friday night. It's a real interesting ball game to see how much. I mean, Mart's kind of still at the top of the mountain until they get knocked off in terms of district games there. But and Mart now is going to be playing schools their own size, and so you're going to get more of a fair assessment of what the Mart Panthers can do. I think, Brice, you made the point, and maybe I shouldn't disclose our behind the curtain things, but like you said, Quan Cosby might not be walking through that door over there this season. But
yeah, but my big but on that would be
your big butt.
I got a big one. Not as big as Cal Raleigh, but so like you said, now they start picking on some people their own size, and even with Chilton sitting there at 3-0, or who else was I looking at? Goldthwait's 2-1, Hubbard's 2-1. Are you really not going to pick Mart against those teams just
Right.
because they have a better record? Like, there's no way I'm not picking Mart over Hubbard. I mean, I don't care how improved the Jaggers are. Um, Mart's still Mart.
Yeah, Mark's sitting over there like, what, who were the women's basketball players a couple years ago that were saying like, or maybe it was gymnasts or something in the Olympics, or they were like, hang around and find out. I'm paraphrasing,
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Might have been F around and find out.
Well, I was trying to keep it family friendly, Brice. Thanks a lot.
All really I said was F. I just used the letter.
What about 12-6A though? I mean, because there's a lot of teams at the top.
I'm glad that you brought that up. It's a very interesting district. I do think there's a clear delineation between the top four and kind of the next bunch. I don't think. I was just talking to David G. Campbell, our friend Chad and Brian yesterday,
mm-hmm.
and he was like, "Yeah, this is not shaping up as a very good year for Brian." And I think Cove is certainly not on the level of those other schools. But you're talking about Temple, Midway, Shoemaker, and Harker Heights. To me, those are your playoff teams in some order or another. And if I'm forecasting it today, like I think Temple's pretty good and I think Harker Heights is pretty good, but Midway's playing like the team to beat. And, yes, I think it's going to be a good race and those will be good games. By the way, Chad, I'm giving you Midway Temple in a few weeks.
Nice.
But I still think Midway's the one that people are going to be chasing.
Man, we sat up there on Thursday night last week, Michael and I did, and watched Shoemaker control that second half. And it was I typed in Shoemaker to the picks, and then I reversed course and went with Temple and
University. Oh, in the Shoemaker Temple pick.
In the Shoemaker Temple game this week. And so, I think you're going to find out a lot about Midway with this run of Heights, Shoemaker, Temple, bang, bang, bang.
Yeah, and believe me, I'm not dismissing Harker Heights. Harker Heights is good. So this is a big game right off the bat for Midway. It's crazy to me that Harker Heights is your homecoming game. I go to Sunday school with the Texas Wind athletic director, Amy Perry. She's in my Sunday school class. And I was like, hey, good win for the Skyhawks. And she was like, yeah, we were their homecoming opponent. And she goes, I don't know why teams keep doing that. That's been like 3 years in a row that we've like spoiled somebody's homecoming. So hopefully for Midway's sake, the Knights don't spoil their homecoming.
Like, that's kind of like a difference between like football culture and actual football, because like football culture is things like Texas Tech throwing tortillas, which by the way, I low key don't like very much. But, it's like, oh, it's homecoming. We're going to play somebody terrible and kick their butts.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, it's not always that easy to do.
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes you just got to schedule it when you schedule it. All right. Let's move on. So currently we have 6 Central Texas teams ranked in the Dave Campbell's Texas football state rankings. Those are Aquila, Oglesby, and Iredell in the 6-man rankings. Bremond and Chilton in 2AD2, and La Vega in 4AD1, D2, excuse me. We've talked about all these teams, these 6 teams at one point or another here on the pod, but is there anyone from our area who deserves to be ranked but isn't yet?
Go ahead,
yeah, definitely. I almost kind of think Gatesville is kind of inching towards that category.
Agreed.
I think maybe they're a little bit off the radar because they haven't been ranked and aren't playing like the Salinas of the world early in this season. But the one that I really kind of think has done enough is Fairfield.
Mm-hmm.
And
still my pick.
And here's what I don't get. And I've voiced my opinion about this with the Texas football guys, but they love Malakoff. They put Malakoff back in there this week at 2-2. Now, granted, they beat Grandview. Okay, good win, right? But they had their chance. You know, I know they played in the state championship game last year, but they're 2-2, man. They've lost twice. You're not. When you consider the number of schools in the division, there shouldn't be a 2-loss team in the rankings. I don't care if you've been playing the Cowboys and Eagles. You know,
they did
because
play.
There's so many 4-0 teams out there.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I do think they try to look at schedules and who those teams played. Malakoff obviously lost to Lorena, a class up,
and it was like a game-winning field goal too. Like it wasn't like they got hammered.
Right.
That's true, but Franklin didn't have any problem with Lorena.
True.
You know.
It's true.
So,
it's true.
I don't know. I mean, that's why rankings are fun because we get in here and we talk passionately about it. But I think Palestine, Westwood, and Fairfield are more. And I know Westwood's not in our area, but how are they not ranked? I mean, they got probably the best quarterback in the state. I think.
Michael, you just said it, but Chad stole your pick. He stole my pick too. I think Fairfield's the team.
They're averaging 58 points a game. And like, I know like not all of those games have been necessarily heavy hitters, but they're beating quality opponents. And in total, they've outscored their opponents 233 points to 54 in 4 games. That's really good. And again, I don't think you can just overlook that. I think Fairfield should absolutely be state ranked at this point.
Here's where I will sort of give the guys at Dave Kimball's, some grace. Like they are looking at it from a statewide perspective, and they know the state better than we know the state. I think we would agree on that.
Sure.
And keeping up with all kinds of teams all over the place. Okay,
I'm going to argue with you there. I think they have a 30,000-foot view of the whole state.
No,
it's the same thing as like game days, like the college broadcasts of games. They know a little bit about a lot of teams, you know, and I like those guys and I respect what they're doing and I like that they're doing the rankings and I like arguing about it, but I think they're wrong on this one.
No, I'm not saying.
Anyway, go ahead.
I'm not disagreeing with you that they're wrong. Yeah. Here's where I was going. I do think the point that you make about game day is a good one. And I think we've heard the expression helicopter journalism before, where a reporter at some national outlet helicopters in, does the story that we've told a million times, and then helicopters out. You know, like I think that's game day. Maybe that's Dave Campbell's to a certain extent. Here's where I was going with it. I think sometimes maybe they have a FCA Victory Bowl kind of perspective on it, and they're trying to spread the wealth to, make sure this area gets represented.
Different regions.
Yeah. And maybe not. Maybe there's more of a formula to that. But I agree with y'all that I think Fairfield belongs in the poll. And maybe a Gatesville, maybe a Robinson, maybe eventually a Midway. I mean, there's a top 25 in 6A. I do feel like where Midway's is right now is a good place to be, like kind of floating a little bit under the radar, like I don't think that the ranking bothers Gillespie at all.
No.
Well, I tell you this, and we may have a little bit of regional bias here, but with these next 3 that they've got coming, if they come through those 3 games at 7-0, I think you probably, I mean, they have to be somewhere in the 16 to 25 range at that point.
I think if they beat Harker Heights, they should probably
I agree.
Go ahead and enter. I mean, Harker Heights is really good.
Yeah, I think that's a fair point. All right, well let's talk about some 6-man football. So even with the closing of Eagle Christian Academy this year, And with Live Oak moving to 11-man last year, we still have 5 private school 6-man teams in the city of Waco. Those are Texas Wind, Valor Prep, Vanguard, Methodist Home, and Waco Christian Academy. 3 of those teams right now are 4-0. Those are Wind, Valor, and Vanguard. Of course, MCH has a history of making deep runs in their playoffs. I think it's TCAF, right? And then WCA, Waco Christian, is a newer program on the scene. Bryce Frazier coaches them, and he's been around. He was at Parkview. He was at Eagle Christian. Anyway, the only game between those 5 teams this year is Vanguard versus MCH a couple weeks ago. Vanguard won pretty easily. So what do you think of this idea that I'm proposing? A standing round robin every year between these 5 teams, where they each play the other 4, and the winner gets the Waco private 6-man championship trophy. Who says no to this idea?
I'm not saying no. It's kind of like the Commanders Cup in college football. I mean, it gives you some bragging rights. You don't have to travel far. And
Commanders Cup, is that between the service academies, right?
Yeah. Or the Commander-in-Chief Cup. I think it's called the Commanders Cup, but it's something like that. So, it's where Army, Navy, and Air Force play each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I've got a similar comparison. I thought of a similar thing is the Big Five in Philadelphia.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was one of the great traditions of college basketball for those schools. Let's see, Temple, Penn, LaSalle.
Yeah.
Oh boy, now I've really backed myself into a corner here.
Temple,
St. Joe's.
Yes.
And Villanova.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. And
they would play at the Palestra, right?
Yeah.
The Big Five. Those were fun. Maybe they could call themselves the Big Five or the Little Five.
I mean, I think because it kind of fits in the same way as that fits in the college basketball picture. It's not like it's not Duke, North Carolina. It's not even like Kentucky, Tennessee, but it's their thing, and every now and then one of those games might be super relevant.
Well, and plus, we've seen University and China Spring play. Like, crosstown rivalries are fun, and you don't have to travel far. And plus, all it takes is to start something, and then it can become a tradition. And I think that could be really cool.
So I'm going tonight, as we record this, I'm going to cover Valor volleyball tonight. I'm going to bring it up with Stephen Bird, their AD, and see what he says. I will say, so we do the questionnaire every summer. And I think last summer, 24, we asked some question about who's your biggest rival, or something like that. And I can't remember if it was Valor. I can't remember if it was Texas Wind. But a couple of them, I want to say it was Wind, were saying Valor, but we don't get to play those guys. And I don't know if he meant – because Texas Wind as a homeschool organization plays a lot of other homeschool teams. So I'm declaring my ignorance here, that I don't know if there are some rules where they, can't play a TAPS team, or I don't know, but I don't think that that's the case. So I'm going to do a little investigating, see if this thing is an idea, and then I'll take all the credit if it comes about.
I love it.
All right. So finally,
well, I hope all those people looking to pat you on the back for setting that up don't make your back hurt.
Right. Finally, we are contractually obligated to say this whenever we talk about these guys, that they don't get enough respect. But we're bringing them up always here on the Super Centex pod. We love the big guys, the offensive linemen. My question is, what is the best line that you've seen so far this year? And have you paid enough attention to single out a specific lineman?
Well, I'm sitting here scrolling through my photos that I've taken. Since I shoot these days and kind of do things a little bit differently, you have a way different perspective than you do in the press box. I think in the press box you can tell more who's pushing who off the line, but it's undeniable that Evan Moreno is having a great season, and you don't do that without some great alignment, and so. I'm looking at some of the videos where I got of him running through a hole, and a guy that I'm seeing is big number 77 for Robinson, Evan Moreno. I'm sorry, Nate. My bad. Evan Moreno is the running back. Nate Moran is the right tackle for Robinson, and I'm looking at like one of the photos that I sent from last week, or in that sequence. He's Evan Moreno's head is about where Nate's shoulder pads are, so he's a big dude and he's moving some people around, and I like what their offensive line has done. Obviously, they had to be pretty good the other night to help them make that comeback. So
the best individual lineman I've seen by far, he's not in our area. He plays for Colleen Shoemaker, but Troy Pless, I think he's their right tackle. He's a Houston commit.
Oh yeah.
And he is he's unbelievable. He's every bit of 6'5" or 6'6", 310, and just absolutely moves humans. He's pretty good. Kind of an undersized guy in our area from La Vega, Michael Bryant. I've been kind of impressed with him. Last week he had 4 pancakes in their win over Brownwood. He's not necessarily one of the names maybe Don Hyde would have told us about going into the year, because they actually brought back a couple other guys who they were pretty excited about. And that O-line is, I think, still developing, but, losing Ethan Thompson, those are big shoes to fill.
Sure.
He's at Houston, and they're still trying to find some guys. Frost, I wanted to mention, as a group, has a really good offensive line. I believe they brought back, I think, all 5 of their guys from last year. Chad, you and I saw them in week 1 in the Ice Bowl.
Yeah, Frost is having a season now,
3-0.
So,
yeah.
Yep. Philip Gibson getting it done over there.
Mm-hmm.
I like what Philip Gibson's done at Frost. Again, I'm not sure I'm going to pick the Polar Bears over Mart when they play, but still doing really well. I got to give, obviously, Midway's line a lot of credit. As good as Lathan Wissington, as good as Jaden Fields Vaughn are, like if you ever talk to Lathan, he's got that running back DNA where he knows you praise those guys that are clearing the holes, and they do a good job. They're big. Of course, I put together that Super Centex all college team that we do now every year. Guys that are in college from our area that have had like good years and stuff. And Midway traditionally produces as many like college offensive linemen as any team in our area. La Vega does pretty well in that too, but Midway's got a lot of guys that go on and play at the next level for on the line. And one I will shout out, he's a senior. I think he was in Millie's elementary class back in the day. Landon Pope is probably Midway's best offensive lineman. He was on our preseason Super Centex team, 6'2", 265, does a good job. And Lathan and those guys, are benefiting from a good Midway line in front of them. So that's a strength for sure. Well,
I still can't wait to see Jaden Fields Vaughn in a couple of weeks. When you give me that Temple game, I'm expecting big things. I've heard the legend, and I haven't seen it in the flesh yet.
His touchdown to touch ratio is crazy. He's he's a huge explosive weapon.
Here's what I'll say about him. He rushed the other night 4 times for, I want to say, 69 yards and a touchdown. And his average went down. Because he was averaging 23 yards a carry, and he went for 4 and 6. He had a 50-something yard touchdown run. I mean, he's just good for that. Like, he's good for at least one of those when he gets in there. Yeah, obviously,
It's like having a pitch, it's a baseball pitcher having a pitch that you never throw, but when you do, it just dazzles, it just shuts the batter down, right? Is that what it kind of feels like? Because why are they not running him 15 times a game?
Well, because they have Lathan.
Yeah, I'll say they are different backs. Lathan is a lot bigger, and he's able to get tough yards and move the pile and run between the tackles and stuff. Jaden is smaller, but man, shifty and just so much speed. And Wissington has good speed too. Don't get me wrong. When he gets in the open field, but yeah, they've really got something there. And I'm not going to knock how many times they get him the ball because it's working.
Well, no, absolutely.
JFV 20 carries, 7 touchdowns on the year. That's and he missed a game.
How many yards does he have on 20 carries?
436, which is about 60 less than Lathan.
60 fewer. And here's the thing: when they get towards the end of the season, especially after they get past these next 3, probably they're going to be able to maybe balance those carries and then have maybe Wissington fresher in the playoffs.
That's probably another reason why they're. Yeah, it's got to be.
Yeah,
that was actually something I talked to Gillespie about earlier in the season. I was asking him about how good is it that you're getting all these backups so much time, and because that very first game of the season, they only played Wissington a half. He played one half in the first game of the year, and he was like, he trotted out the cliche, this is a marathon, not a sprint, but went on to say, we're going to need these guys, both the starters, going to need them healthy, and going to need those other guys sometimes, to pinch hit. And so, I think that's been big for Midway, that they've gotten some backups, some good playing time.
Agreed.
All right. Well, fun games this week. I will be at Midway Harker Heights. Chad, where will you be?
I'll go down to Bremond and cover the Mart Bremond game. The Bremond Tigers look like a juggernaut, don't they?
They absolutely do.
I think 3rd ranked in the state. Yeah.
For 282.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And of course, Chilton's in the top 10 now.
They have now gotten into and that's who I'll be seeing. They will be hosting Goldthwaite. So that should be Goldthwaite was just on the outside of the top 10 entering the year, and they're looking pretty good too. So that should be an interesting matchup.
Cool. All right. We'll talk more about it Friday night on the After Dark, but appreciate y'all. See ya.
See you guys.